Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. I am so excited to be kicking off Sports Week 2023. Technically, we started yesterday. We were in the community with Cora Valley Foundation, but today our official events kick off. And I couldn't think of a better way than to be chatting with Kyle Maloney and Elise Lockhart. We are going to get to know shortly about one of the things that is so important to Spot, our mission and our vision, which is diaspora engagement. And sometimes we always get people going like, what is that? What's the importance of that? Why it should matter? And we're going to get into that tonight. So I definitely want to kick things off by having Kyle introduce himself, then Delise, and then we will dive in. Kyle.
All right, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here. It's how I am when I'm excited. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I'm super excited to be here. My name is Kyle Maloney. I'm the co-founder of Tech Beach. We're an organization that is focused on connecting the global technology ecosystem and bringing them into the Caribbean and connecting Latin America and the Caribbean together. And we do this through our summits. We have a major summit in Jamaica, and we have one in Miami. And then we have an education program for early stage technology companies. And we invest in companies as well. And so within our individual capacities. So between these things, this is our Tech Beach pillars, and we're super excited to be here and just share a bit about what we do. And engaging with the diaspora is at the heart of the things that we do. So it falls squarely within my wheelhouse.
Are we excited to have you, Delise?
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Of course. So I'm Delise Lockhart, Miss Universe Trinidad and Tobago.
Whoop, whoop. Hey.
And I'm also the founder of the Texas Caribbean Students Organization, which serves as a home away from home for many of our Caribbean students in the state of Texas. We do so by providing workshops, mentorship, and we support our students with mental health forums. And I'm excited to be here, so thank you.
And I'm excited to have you, and congrats on all your accomplishments. So, what we have is a growing thread of founders, people who have started things, done things, currently doing things, and continue to build on things. And very similar to Kyle and Delise with Spot, if you remember our conversation last year about starting, we started as students, and then grew as professionals. And I keep saying this out loud, and I can't believe it, but Spot turned 10 this year, and it was like, how did 10 years pass, right? It started as a conversation in a cafeteria with some students about looking for the things that we wanted to see. So that title of being a founder and a creator could come with some weight. So I would love to hear about your journey in founding the things that you have been able to build, in landing on the platforms that you've been able to land on, in your case stages that you've been able to land on and compete, and what that journey looks like. And if you can tie in as well, how the diaspora has been supportive of that journey. I'm going to start with you, Delise, and then we'll kick it to Kyle.
Ladies first.
Yeah, ladies first.
Okay, so let's see how it started for me. For me, I started similar to you as a Caribbean student at a predominantly white institute. And because of the many adversities and the challenges that I endured as a Caribbean student, that enabled me to create the the Texas Caribbean Student Organization. It has been challenging yet rewarding, and I'm grateful for the impact that we've made. And the diaspora continues to support us. I have partnerships with the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Texas, and without their mentorship, financial support, I don't know where Texas CSO would be or where I would be. So it is important for us to continue to have spaces where we thrive and we have mentors to lead us along the way.
I love that. And on mentorship, quick plug, in case you missed it, that's what Spot does, but we'll get to that later on. And I love that you talked about the importance of mentorship, because very similar, having mentors in the diaspora, having mentors outside of it is so critical. And that's why we kind of emphasize, we want to bridge the gap, because whether you are a Trinidad and Tobago student that attended university, or you have to plop up in Texas, or you're at Howard University, you shouldn't be able to be scrambling and trying to figure it out and can't connect. And we wanted to have like a borderless system that people can connect no matter where they are. And I know Kyle can relate because you do create, all right, a little bit. But you could definitely relate on the tech side of things because that's what you do. People are able to build systems, have infrastructure no matter where they are, and get their ideas funded and supported and have a community in Tech Beach. So tell me about your journey in founding something like this and what did it look like with the diaspora involvement?
Cool. Well, I can take it a little bit back to provide some context. I'm from Diego Martin. Yeah, big up the Martians. Yeah, I went CIC and then I did my undergrad actually in aerospace engineering in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Awesome.
Embry-Riddle Aeronautical. In school, I started my first tech company that allows students to buy and sell items from each other. And we made about $3 to $4 grand a month from it. So in university times,
impressive.
Just feel like a baller with that kind of money, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. And from there is when I decided that I really wanted to go down this road and focus on becoming a founder of technology companies and solving problems leveraging tech. And once I was done with school, like I went and started a company called First in Trinidad. And so First was a technology application meant to be like the Yelp for the Caribbean. And it started in 2012. And in 2014, Digicel invested a couple $1 million US into First for 25% of the company. And that was a large deal at the time. And even now, that's quite a significant number in the Caribbean. And we tried to run as quickly as possible with it. And we weren't able to make it happen. We ended up burning out the cash and we weren't able to raise another round of funding. And Tech Beach came in 2016, so that only ran until 2015. Tech Beach came in 2016 to really see how we can bring our global diaspora into the region so that when people are starting companies, they're starting with access to mentors from these technology companies that come with a Caribbean context. So somebody from Jamaica or Trinidad working at a Google or a Facebook or these technology companies that can advise on the companies that are growing from here and invest in the companies, have opportunities to recruit people from these companies that didn't currently exist when I initially started. And I'm happy to say, like, just last week, Thursday, I heard, well, directly from one of the companies, a company that is, I can't say their name yet because they haven't made it public yet, but a Caribbean technology company just recruited a 6-year veteran person from Facebook who was cut during the technology cuts, and she's now working at one of the Caribbean-focused technology companies after working at Facebook for 6 years. And so they met at Tech Beach, you know? So these are the interactions that we're facilitating to happen that wouldn't happen anywhere else had it been for the platform that we've built, the events that allow these people to come together and connect and really allow these really transformational opportunities to occur.
So I love that because when we talk about the importance of building community and the connections and where things happen, I think people do realize what goes behind it, right? It's not like a 1+1 kind of situation, but you have to be super intentional. So that brings me to my other question about what it looks like to be intentional. My question to you all is, as you are building these platforms, as you are experiencing the challenges from funding to some of the challenges that you're experiencing where you're just kind of like, okay, I'm this student that got plopped in Texas and I'm now figuring things out. As you're building that, and while you're still trying to ensure that you're raising the flag high, you're bigging up Diego Martin, right? You're carrying your country with you no matter where you are, whether it's on stage or whether as a student on campus. So while you're doing that and you want to be a true reflection of the 868, right? Trinidad, right? And Tobago. How are you ensuring that you're being intentional about incorporating Trinidad and Tobago in what you do? Because essentially it's easy to start working externally and kind of get disheartened and forget things, but it's such a core part of who you are and what you do that it's hard to separate the two. So how do you feel like you've been intentional about bringing Trinidad and Tobago with you no matter where you are, the concerns, the challenges, all of it, and ensuring that in whatever you do also serves the country and it could go back and pour into Trinidad and Tobago as well? Starting with Kyle. Because he just touched on it.
The
Yeah.
our why as a company, and even before the why as a company, my personal why is I want to create opportunities for more people to grow and thrive, right? And it doesn't matter where they are, but you fix your home first. You fix your house first. You can't be out there trying to fix other people's house and your house in a mess.
Yeah.
Right? As my mother always tell me, right?
Yeah.
So you want to go out there and play fixing other people's thing, but inside here is a mess. But so that always held to me, right? And so I have, while I would have kind of like global ambitions to really do things that are scalable and can impact so many people, at the end of the day, like, it all begins at home. What was the word? Charity begins at home.
Charity begins at home.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
right. And so my why is, how do we create a platform that empowers more people to build things that matter and affect a lot of people? And that is what we are about as an organization. Creating a platform to it's not about us winning. Fine, we'll win, we'll do well when everybody does well. And that's the center piece of what we're about. We're about creating space and opportunity for anyone that's doing something that's meaningful and impactful to tap into our community and be able to leverage that community to do really impactful things and help them to grow and scale. And that's what we're about. And so I mean, I'm a Trini, and I live here. I haven't moved anywhere, even though I fly a lot. Like, I'm always back home, and so I'm always trying to figure out how we get more people into our community, more people to scale. I talk to founders every day, and so it's just my core mantra. I eat, sleep, breathe this. This is my life. This is my purpose.
I love that you talked about your purpose and your passion. Yesterday when we were in Cora Valley, I was telling the students about, like, sometimes there's some of us who get to do both. Like, some people separate their career and passions.
Yeah.
And nothing is wrong with that. No shade, we're not knocking it. But then there is this moment where both things kind of align. And
they collide.
and you enjoy doing it. So you mentioned and talked about, I haven't moved. While I might be on a flight, probably every week, couple days a week, I don't know, I don't know your business like that, but you can tell us, right? While you might have been you might be traveling and moving across the world and doing all of those things, the least for you have to be stationary in the US for most of your, your journey and as you're figuring things out. I mean, yes, you have to come back and forth for pageants, for your nonprofit, for the partnerships that you're building here on the ground. But how does your intentionality look when you don't have, like, the ability to move probably as quick as Kyle, where this is the base. Your base is in Texas. What does it look like for you when you're still uplifting Trinidad and Tobago in all ways and in all things?
Good question. So similar to Kyle, I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose, and that's the motivation behind what keeps me driven.
Yeah.
So for me, I love my culture, my people, and I just want to make sure that we're always celebrated, and I strongly believe in representation. So with my organization, I founded it based off of my own experience because there was a lack of Caribbean heritage exposure on the campuses throughout Texas. So I just want to continue to highlight the importance of representation and the students feeling like it's a safe space and that they can thrive within that community that we have built.
Right. And switching to your other hat, even as being second runner-up for Miss Universe Trinidad and Tobago, managing, competing, building things in the US and moving back and forth. Like, how was that, being able to balance both and still come up and be placed as a second runner-up in spite of moving across, being on flights? Yeah.
Well, I would say thank God for technology because so I've been able to communicate with my board members. It's not just me alone. The organization, I have an advisory board, executive board, and then we also have a student executive board. So I'm able to still be mobile because I have these positions in place. So I can be at multiple places at once thanks to technology.
Right, and the work still keeps going. It doesn't stop anything.
It doesn't stop because of the different roles that I've created. So
right.
I don't have to physically be in Texas for us to do an event. We recently had a dance workshop and I was competing in the pageant like
Right.
the week after the workshop. So I'm glad that I have people that love representing our culture, and they volunteer their time, and yeah.
And you're doing it.
Yes.
So we talked about, I think we started scratching the surface a little bit, but now we go and talk about, go and mind all the business a little bit too, right?
Okay.
So, for lack of a better word. So we, particularly around the diaspora, for me and my own journey, even with sport, people ask me the same thing. So what is it like, trying to remain connected, doing things in the space that I do and working in the intersection of tech and politics for me, in particular in the Washington, D.C. area. So doing that, maintaining my career goals and still being plugged in. I always tell people, and so many of the board members at Spot, Khadijah Bishop, Giselle, Grandison, board members, Adam, Akila, who founded, we talk about that it literally is a labor of love for us. Because life is happening, life is lifing, right? But we still remain committed in different seasons throughout to what Spot's mission and goal is. And in that conversation, people often assume, well, you over there in DC, so you have access to people that would understand, or you have access to funding, or it should be easier because in a home, you have this door that is apparently cracked. And while I say yes, we could acknowledge that there are some things that probably give us more runway to do the things that we want to do, I also want to uplift the challenges and the misconceptions that exist, that we face being outside of Trinidad and Tobago to still build on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. So I want to kick it to you, Kyle. What do you think are some of the challenges and misconceptions that people kind of assume about being able to access things outside of Trinidad and Tobago that you want to talk about and highlight?
I mean, doing anything that's meaningful is difficult, right? And from the time it's easy, there's a lot of people that's just gonna crowd up the space, and then it becomes difficult, right? So bottom line is, anything that you're trying to do that's meaningful is gonna be pretty difficult. But there's no denying that there is a significant increase in opportunity that exists being in the U.S. compared to being in the region, right? For many things, right? I don't want to say for everything, but for many things. And so I don't want to downplay that by any means, but the reality is that merely just putting yourself in position doesn't mean that you're going to win. It requires a significant amount of hustle and drive and dedication, discipline to really get up every day and be on that grind and know what you're about and set your intentions and stay focused, because with the amount of opportunities comes the amount of distractions as well. And so when there's too much opportunity and there's too many things to do, both that help you towards your goal and then can take you from your goal, many people end up in a place where they're confused. They don't know what they're working towards anymore, and that comes because you have too much. And that's why many times many things that are done by people that come from very little, because they're very focused. They know that they don't have much, and so they need to do this one thing really, really well. And that's why the vast majority of really successful people have come from less than successful backgrounds, right? And because when you have a lot, and that's what I kind of worry about for my next generation, my kids, it's when you come from having
privilege,
you have too much opportunity, too much choice, too much things. And so what do you end up doing? Nothing, right? Because you trying to run after this, but no, it's taking too hard or too long. I don't want to go there. And then you want to run after something else, it's taking too hard, too long. And so when you're actually coming from a place of very little, it's also a blessing that you're very focused. You know exactly what you want to do. You know exactly what you want to accomplish. And so there's always pros and cons to everything, but there's no denying the plethora of opportunity that exists when you step into a place like the US or within Europe or something like that, significantly. But with every positive, there's always a negative downside they have to try to mitigate for.
So I like how you table said that because it kind of it has leveled the playing field because we're acknowledging what we know to be true with regards to access, but we're also acknowledging that the hustle that is required
for sure.
doesn't disappear because all of a sudden there's different ways or doors that you can knock on. They could still get shut, right? Mm-hmm. So could you also talk about what are some of the probably biggest misconceptions that you also feel exists around working in this space, particularly in the US? You talked about the partnerships that you've been able to build on the ground in the States. Mm-hmm. Now that you have this title and you've now competed, probably there's the assumption that, oh yeah, well, this is Miss Trinidad and Tobago second runner-up. She good, you know, what is that? What is some of the challenges that you think that still exists around that you want to share with us?
I would say that you're constantly being stereotyped, and that's here in Trinidad and abroad. People have this misconception that because you live abroad, you have access to money. And for me, that is not the case, especially when you're working for a nonprofit organization. Many of the times, I have to come out of pocket.
Yeah, talk about it. Spot two.
Yeah, people don't.
Yeah.
So majority of the times I have to fund some of the initiatives that we have.
Yeah.
And because I am of Caribbean descent, we don't have access to some of the financial resources that other organizations may have.
Yeah.
So for me, it is a financial struggle, being a founder of a nonprofit organization. And sometimes we are turned away from spaces because we're from the Caribbean and people don't know that. People think, oh, you're living in the U.S., you'll be able to rent out any space. No. Some spaces, they won't rent it out to us. So I've had to be mentally strong. Like, you have to have thick skin in this industry. And there have been many naysayers, but with me, I have an optimistic mindset. So even though they tell me no, I find another alternative, and I make sure that I stick it through. Okay. Because I know that it's important, not just for me, but for the students, which I'm so passionate about.
Yeah. So legacy. So I remember a mentor of mine saying that she doesn't believe in no's, she believes in maybes. And I really did attach to that because, like you said, if you kind of get consumed with the negative, consumed with the negative, consumed with the no's and the closed doors, it could be easy for you to not think about the maybes, and the person that might just say, oh, I'll think about it. Yeah, I'll take that call. Sure, I'll book a meeting. Let me come to your conference. Let me check you out, see what's going on at Tech Beach. That could then open so many other doors as well. Right. So I know we have people online, so I want to shout out the people that are possibly out online or not are going to watch this later. But feel free to share your comments, drop some questions in the chat for our guests as we keep the conversation going, because I'm being mindful of time. So we're winding down, but I always like to elevate back up. So we've been talking about, the challenges, the misconceptions, all of those things. But I want to talk about a term that I often hear about, the secret sauce, right? Like, you see the memes going around, you are the secret sauce, you have, you are magic, you are all of this, and it's empowering, and we affirm it, and we believe it, and we know it to be true, because, I'm sitting here with people who've built things, and are continuing to build things, solid things, and have a solid foundation. How do you feel like your heritage ties into that secret sauce? Like, you talked about being a Trini, right? You're like, I'm a Trini, I'm from Dago. I doing this thing. I have global tech leaders at my conference. How, I want to flex a little bit. How does that incorporate and be a part of, despite being an expert in what you all do, and what you've built? Talk about what that's like, your secret sauce and being Trini.
Cool. Yeah, what was my secret sauce? My personal skill and capability has always been being able to be good with people and build good relationships for a long time. But I didn't really mean anything in school, right? What that meant tangibly in school was I used to throw parties, and I was invited to a lot of parties, but plenty of people is be popular and have relationships, doesn't really mean anything. And I then went to university and studied a very technical degree. And so it kind of was more through studying engineering and taking a sort of like structured mindset to my engineering degree, and then taking that structured approach and that sort of like scientific approach, then applying it to business and life. And that really saw me take something that was like an inherent natural skill, my personal secret sauce, and saying, okay, how do I put some structure on top of this to make it have impact and to have a level of scalability? And so what we do with TechBeach, how we've been able to bring a lot of big brands into our space, like TBR Miami this year is headlined by Google. We have partnerships with Meta. We have partnerships with Microsoft, Visa. You know, like we have a lot of really amazing top global brands that are our partners.
Yeah.
And we've been able to attract like the likes of founder of Twitter. No, wait, X. Wait, which one? yeah. We've been able to attract Jack.
Okay.
Right?
I did a very deep inhale, because I have lots of thoughts based on what I do in life.
Right. Yeah.
But
So I've been able to attract Jack, and I met Jack in a coffee shop with my co-founder in San Francisco, and got Jack to fly to Jamaica, Tech Beach, on his own dime in his own private jet to speak at an event that he'd only heard of in a coffee shop that day. You know, and to a country that he'd never been to before. He'd never been to Jamaica before. And so how does that happen? Because I realized like my personal secret sauce is my ability to be able to build really good rapport with people once I'm there with them. So I spend a lot of time in countries, in cities, meeting people, building really good relationships, and putting structure to how we have tangible outcomes from saying that, hey, this is my boy, this is my girl, this is my sister, and we good.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have that, but don't have practical, tangible things that come out from it that are impactful. And so I take that and put that into a platform that we've developed that then has legs to be able to then impact so many more people. And so there's the engine that we've created to leverage something as simple as being able to build good relationships with people.
Yeah, so come for the line, stay for the impact. I
Correct.
was used to say come for the fashion, stay for the policy. And I like that because it speaks to exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
I said this on a panel before. I said if all the world could be one Caribbean, what a great world it would be. And I think there's so much about our people that the world can learn from, the way we deal, the way we do things, the way we enter spaces, the way we show up. And it's not a takeaway of what exists outside of. But when I look at the way we move and operate and do things, I'm like, there's just this thing that we'll be able to have, this flavor that we can add into any space and in any room. So for you, what do you think your heritage, tied into all else that you are, of course, has added to your secret sauce?
Okay. So to add to my secret sauce, I embrace who I am as a Caribbean woman. So I enjoy being able to inform people about our food, our culture, and these are people who are not aware, of course, or there's also first generation or our international students. So I create a space for them to know more about Trinidad and Tobago, and we have cultural workshops as well as pageants on campus. I also provide resources to where they can access through our website, and we recently launched an app. So
A lot of tech things happen here. So you launched an app.
Yeah, we launched an app about a month ago.
Okay.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats on that.
Yeah, so it's open to the public. The app has an open forum, so students can have open discussions, as well as they have access to resources such as mentors. We provide them with internships and scholarship opportunities.
So like a safe space. So you need to tap in, but you're making it accessible to invite people in just as well. So yes, you're pouring out, but people can come in and chat and have conversations and ask questions.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So This is the second time she dropped a little tech thing there. So there's something that we need to talk about with all three of us that I'm not realizing as we're sitting here together. And I love that you are using your ability to always, and that's something else that I think is so inviting with Caribbean people. So you're just like, yeah, there's some challenges, but guess what? I'm in your face showing up. Like, come to this culture workshop. Come and try some food.
Yeah.
Come and do this. Come and taste, see here. And maybe then you will get inspired. You want to be more engaged. And then, oh, by the way, I drop an app so now you can keep talking to me and stay connected.
Right.
So I love that. So I want to also ask, and I'm going to start with you and then go to Kyle. If you can wave a magic wand, right? So we're taking it back to Trinidad and Tobago. So we talk about challenges. We throw in some, we making a meal. Making the pot bubbling. Secret sauce. If you could wave a magic wand and kind of speak to some of the things that you would like to see improved here locally, that would make business easier, that would make some of the things that you want to do on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago easier. Because remember, we talked about is not just like doing things externally, but also kind of like plugging back in, and something that also means caring and bringing people. And while we all want to do that, there's some challenges in that as well. So if you had a magic wand and you could be like, here's the one thing I wish we could do, right? Here locally that can help push the things that I am doing to improve business relations, to improve cultural awareness, to make it easier for you to land in a Texas and say, okay, I am going to do this, that, and the third for students that are coming up and give them access. What would that be? What would that look like?
For me, it would have to be financial support. I know our students, they would love to study abroad and have more opportunities to study in the U.S. So if we can make it more accessible and at a reasonable cost, or if my organization, we get to the point where we have even more scholarships open for our students of Trinidadian descent to study on a different scale. So I would definitely have to say financial support.
Financial support. If you go wave your magic wand, that's what it is. Give me grants, give me scholarships, give me access, give me funding to make this easier to be able to do. What about you, Kyle?
My biggest thing, I think that will be transformative and have like a real catalytic effect, is if we, our government and large corporates, because that's where a lot of the capital sits, were to take an aggressive approach to digital education. And so digital education from two perspectives. There's the obvious one that people always think like, oh, we need more tech people and more people to build apps, blah, blah, blah. Yes, fine, yes, because that's the easy, obvious one. But then digital education from the perspective of more people to understand how to leverage the tools that already exist, right? And so I think there are so many tools that will make people's lives a ton easier and be able to deliver a higher quality service in your business. And they just don't use it because they're just not aware. They just don't know, when the learning curve on things feel like so long. But we can deliver really higher quality products and services, and if we understood how to leverage technology across our businesses in different respects, and whether it is like in marketing, to understand how to leverage your online platforms for customer acquisition, to do it for better customer service, or from the perspective of building better products if you're in a product-based business. So like technology is like this really broad cross-cutting thing across every industry. And if we as a country were to be really aggressive in helping people to really understand how to leverage technology better, it will have a crazy catalytic effect. Because now we'd have more homegrown technology solutions coming from our region. We'd have more businesses thinking externally, thinking of how do we build products that we can service the global landscape. And we're building, whether it is you have arts, craft, simple things like that, so your body butter, makeup, whatever the things that you're doing, you're thinking now with how do I tap into the global pool of opportunity versus just thinking that there's 1.4 million people here. And a lot of people in every Caribbean island is always think, well, you know, I not only in Trinidad, I know, I in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Like, the world is a million times more than the Caribbean.
It is.
And you need to be thinking, how do you tap into the world, right? How do you build, you're starting a store here. Why aren't you starting a store on one of the big e-commerce platforms and understanding how you can be selling your same products to the rest of the world? Why you only want to sell to Diego Martin?
Yeah.
Tom.
I find you real calling Diego Martin. I'm a big Parima. Big up Parima. Big up Sour. Big up Sandy Grande. Like, he real dropping the Diego in there. Just want to put a plug.
Why you only want to sell to that area? Why you only want to sell to the country?
Yes.
Why when your big thing that you want to sell to is the Caribbean?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I think it would be really transformative if more businesses understood how to leverage technology and the different platforms and tools there exist to be able to tap into a global world. It was really transformative from my perspective when I went to China and I saw that so many factories were just factories to sell to the rest of the planet. You know, everybody else, everywhere else, you know. It wasn't about selling to China, it was about like external export. And so when you have a country that operates and thinks like that, I mean, then your market size is just insane. It's just so much bigger.
Yeah, it shouldn't be surprising that they're literally one of the global superpowers and people keep questioning how did they do it, why, and the ins and the outs. But I mean, you seeing something like that, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything have a sticker made from?
Made from China, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we talked about, and I love that I asked that question because, you know, I think it's important for us to also dream.
Yeah.
Right? I think we could get caught up so much in just kind of looking at the woe is me or what's the next thing, because now when you're committed to that first thing, it's just like, all right, what's next? You even pause to kind of celebrate your wins. So on that, I'm big on celebrating wins, and something we do at Spot at the end of every meeting, well, we try to, unless Khadija, well, Giselle in particular, our Spot cheerleader, in-house cheerleader and positive vibes expert, always reminds us to say, okay, before we get off the call, let's talk about what we're grateful for. So I want to give you all too a chance to also talk about the wins that you've had both here in Trinidad and Tobago and in this diaspora. So we want to give 2 wins, a win that you've had locally and then a win that you've had outside of Trinidad and Tobago, to celebrate that and talk about that and just, you know, put it up in the air. So I'll start with you, Delise. Celebrate some wins. What are you grateful for? Both places, here and outside.
Okay, so outside in Washington, D.C., during Caribbean Heritage Month in June, I won a 30 Under 30 Changemaker Award. I was one of the honorees, so that was a huge win for me. And I'm honored to have been celebrated, and I hope that we can continue to create spaces where our Caribbean youth, they feel empowered and embraced. So I'm grateful that I won. And then here locally in Trinidad, I competed in Miss Universe Trinidad and Tobago, and I placed second runner-up. And I came here to Trinidad to really be impactful and to inform people about my initiative, the Texas Caribbean Students Organization. And while I've been here, I've been able to network with so many people. And in the process, I'm considering, or maybe I am in the process of founding a new organization called Global Students Connect. And I just want to expand on our services that we have at Texas CSO and make it accessible throughout the Caribbean region and also the U.S.
All right, that's a nice win. So being here at home inspired something else that you want to start and be a founder and do again and go to the channels and reach you. Okay, we're here for it. What about you, Kyle? What are you grateful for? What's the wins both here locally and externally?
Yeah. What I'm most grateful for is community. I've been blessed to first have a foundation of a good family unit, which I know is tough for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I come from a good family unit. I'm grateful that my parents stick it out, or I mean, sometimes they stick it out and they don't even be good for each other, you know. So
That is fast.
Yeah.
We could do a whole other talk on that.
so that's a whole other
Yeah,
thing. But it should have been like, well, they should have separated long time. Anyway, that's a whole other thing.
But that's not the case.
But-
That's not the
but
case
no,
over there for you.
no,
Okay, all right,
no.
good. We're grateful for that.
Yeah, exactly. Grateful for that. And then my wider family unit, and then wider group of friends. I think it's really important to have iron that sharpens iron, and so you get that continuous growth and accountability within each other as a friend group and as a family, and being able to have open space where you can hold each other accountable to what you say that you want that is best for you, and what we want as best for each other as a community and as a friendship. And so along the way things might break, but there's a core unit and a core energy and a core essence that really is about how do we continue to push each other forward and have impact, and really continue to have platforms that continue to have impact on the rest of the world in that way. And my business is just by extension of a philosophy that is within my own familial unit. And so, I mean, I'm eternally grateful for that, because that then has spun out everything that I've become and anything that I continue to do. And I really can't say much more beyond that.
I mean, you said it all. I'm
Yeah, I
just
love
sitting there
that.
like, wow, I love that.
That
Snap,
deserves
snap,
snaps.
snap.
Yeah.
Clip this, repost, send it to me, do all the things. So we're on the live. We're on a couple of platforms. Still checking in on comments and questions. I know Khadija dropped some for me. I did ask some of them already, but I also want to pause to make a plug as well to talk about what we have coming up next for this week. We're having this conversation, and as Kyle kind of mentioned, family and your community, your tribe, all of that, and you talking about being inspired by ideas and all of that. This was what Week is about, honestly. Like, we started something, we built something, we formed community with people from our volunteers. Shout out to the Spot Volunteer Chat, Operation Chat, that's always going. And it started off with just like 4 or 5 of us, and now we have expanded to over 20 plus people giving up their time and talent, right? To just say like, sure, I'll sign up, I'll commit to this new community, I'll come and support what we're doing in our mentorship programs and expanding professional development opportunities. And this week is when we amplify the conversations that stay in the group chat. We wanted to ensure that there was a platform where the things that we talk about in meetings, the reasons why we started 10 years ago, could come to the forefront, and why we're doing this. So most people know about Spot just when it's mentorship application, apply. Shout out to the 2022-23 cohort, 70% strong. But outside of that, we were like, let's have this week to elevate who we are and what we do and what we believe in and the core values. And I love that when I reached out to Kyle, it was such an easy conversation. It's like kindred spirits, you can identify. I could see you, you could see me, you could see what we're trying to do, what to build. And even in that first conversation, offering resources immediately, like here's how they could scale up, here's how they could do it better. Meeting you in Washington DC at the awards, and you being like, Spot, I know about Spot. You busy creating your own thing in Texas, you busy literally competing for a title, and you still took the time to be like, I heard about Spot, I see what y'all are doing, let's talk and let's chat. And you're in Trinidad being like, sure, how can I be supportive? And all of this is why we hope that as Spot Weeks continue to go, that you'll come out to the events, come to the networking mixers. That's where some people literally found out about Spot. Mentors signed up on site, people have connected on site. And then you talked about fundraising. Like, fundraising is important. Our program is free and accessible. So when we talk about the ways that we continue to ensure that we pour back and we give back, that's like a core part. And trust me, there have been many a conversation with like, figure out a way to charge and do things. Kyle and I talk about it, and we have to consider that. But we're believing in, like, you know, still keeping like a small part of it accessible. So whether you're a student or professional, no matter what season in your life you're at, you could say like, if I need this, I could show up and I know Spot will be able to connect me or find it. So I really hope the people that believe in the same things like us come and find us tomorrow at El Joe's. And our fundraiser is aligned. We talk about aligned. Come for the line, stay for the impact, right? It's aligned. and it's $200, just $200. Some of you probably side-eye me, it's not payday yet, Deshauna, spots what's going on, but we believe in you and we believe you could dig deep and definitely come out to that on tomorrow. And then on Friday at Decky's Networks and Mint Mixer. I keep saying Friday and I keep getting corrected. It is Thursday because in my head, Friday is happy hour. We have things Friday too, but not the mixer. The mixer's on Thursday and it's at 6 at Decky's. And I want to invite people to come. No cost, show up at Decky's, sit down, get to connect with us. It was a hit last year. We have a DJ connecting, bring your business cards or not, just like show up as who you are and get to know us and we get to know you. And then on Friday, because everybody eyes on Friday always, and I am too, we will share more about how we can partner with us and how we can contribute to Spot. So I talked about how we are keeping the doors open. By sharing about our program, sharing about our events, sharing about Spot Week, what we do. I want to turn to you all now, starting with you, Delise, and talk about how do you keep the doors open to ensure that it remains accessible for the things that you want to do, and ensure that whoever is next probably don't have to jump through the same hoops that you had to go through.
Right.
So, and then Kyle.
Okay. So we always keep the door open. We're always open to feedback. I am always willing to listen. I actually, before I came to Trinidad and Tobago, I met with 3 of the campuses because I wanted to know what are the resources that you all need and how we can better communicate with these students. So it's all about meeting them where they're at, whether it's converting to virtual meetings or whether they would prefer face-to-face or whatever that's necessary, because at the end of the day, it's all about them. So it's all about making that impact.
Making that impact. And Kai, what about you? What are some ways that you think you've definitely tried to keep the door open or keeping the door open and keeping things accessible?
In terms of keeping the door open in terms of access to me, I mean, I'm generally really accessible. You message me on any platform and most times I'd respond, and if I don't, just put it back to the top of my inbox. It might have fallen down a little bit,
It happens.
Yeah, but I'm pretty accessible. I respond, message me on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever. Like, I'll send you my Calendly, put some time on calendar, and let's chop it up. Let's see how I can be useful. In terms of when I go through a door, keeping the door open. So that's another way to perceive it.
Yeah.
I'm really big on that. I'm really big on once I have the door open, as many people could come through as possible, because it's not about me. Like, we're only here. I'll be 36 tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday! Yeah. We love birthdays as well.
Right. Life expectancy is in this country, I think, is like of a male is like 75, 77 years. So I have like 40 years left. Like, so.
Oh wow!
Not him counting.
Yeah. He was like, wow, it's my birthday, but now I know this. Yeah.
You know, so it's not about just you here. It's about how do you create opportunities for the world to be left better than when you came into it. And when you're gone, because everything that we're using here today, everything that we are today is standing on the shoulders of the giants that came before us, that did these things to make our lives easier. Like, you're wearing nice clothes because somebody designed those clothes. You're wearing a building here because some architect designed it, some construction person built it. You know, like, every single thing, the nice iPhone, like, everything is built on top of somebody saying, how can I do what I do and create this to impact so many more people and keep the doors open so people can continue to build on top of what I've done, you know? And so, yeah, like, that's my philosophy, that's my life, that's my mission, my purpose, and that's how I operate. So keep the door open.
On the spot.
Yeah.
All right. So we landed the plane, coming in for London. And I'm going to throw in the Oprah question that everybody asks, because that's what you do when you're on finals.
You get a car, you get a car, you get a car.
I wish I could give her a car, but what I can give you is a networking mixer on Thursday.
Hey! You get a mixer, you get a mixer.
You come to the mixer, and a fundraiser live at Eldros. Bring your crew, bring your friends.
Most importantly, bring your pockets.
Bring your pockets.
It's a fundraiser.
And support spots. We'd love to see you at Hangout outside of the space. But what I want to ask you all is when you sit back, because we have to have a moment of reflection, you know, like when you talk about your wins, you talk about your challenges, and I think often when we ask people to do these conversations, you have a moment and you're just like, wow, you're watching the questions, like, you know how long I think about that? I can imagine, like, I'll be sitting here talking about, Google and dropping names like Visa and all of that when you probably started thinking about Tech Beach and now knowing that it's there, or having a title being like girl from San Grande and coming to Texas, and then now I'm like, okay, I built this thing in Texas, and then now I'm also competing and got this title at the end as a second runner-up, and like, wow, okay, I did that. What would you say to your younger self? Like, if you could look back at Kyle, Delise, you know, years before this, what is the thing that you would have said to your younger self that we want to leave folks with in this conversation this evening?
Me or you first?
No pressure. Anybody go first. We are the end.
Yeah,
Anybody
my
go.
younger self, keep pushing, read more, stay humble. Keep pushing, read more, stay humble, stay hungry. You're gonna get there. You're gonna get there. The impatience that you're feeling is good because it keeps you pushing, but don't allow it to get you down. Yeah. Take a lot of pictures, a lot of videos. Everybody's going.
Yeah.
Take a lot of pictures, a lot of videos. I think people always talk about, oh, stay in the moment. I don't want to take no pictures, but everybody's gonna go.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so for me, I would say to always put God first in anything.
That too.
Yeah,
Definitely, and to have faith in yourself and your community. I will also stress on the importance of leaning on your community and continuously networking, and just to be confident in your beliefs and whatever it is that you dream of, you can manifest. The tongue is very powerful.
Yeah.
So I would say to have positive affirmations. For me, I always write everything that I've ever accomplished to date. I've written down. So I do believe in having a journal, expressing your thoughts and your feelings and any ambitions that you may have.
Yeah.
Write it down. There's going to be a lot of struggles.
Okay.
But just make sure that you lean on God always, and just continue to be passionate, compassionate, and humble, of course. And just anything that you do it with a kind heart.
Nice. I
Good
feel
job.
like we've given so many gems, and people are pointing to me like, what is yours? What are your gems? And I always say it all the time. I will say it again for the millionth time. Build the thing and the people would come. Because I think like so many times we kind of pause and hesitate on the ideas that we have burning inside. Definitely a woman of faith myself. So having that, but faith without works. So you can have it, and but actually acting on it is quite important. So like what I would definitely say to my younger self is, okay, like build the thing. You might be the only one right now, but trust and believe the people would come, and Spot is definitely a representation of that. So I love that we got the chance to chat. I do want to say a special thank you to our host at number 5 Albion Street. Likes to be behind the scenes, but his name goes by Dion. And it's a great space. So we thank him. This is his second, he's showed up for Spot in so many ways over the years, and we're so grateful. I also want to shout out Sunlight Studios, who is streaming this. If you are watching live, they are the production team behind it. And if you watch this later on, because it will be available on our platforms, this is the group that stepped up for Spot as a nonprofit, saying there's a lot going on this week in Trinidad and Tobago, but we got you, we're going to show up. and showed up on time. And we're here for it, and we're really, really appreciative of Alistair, Dexter, and Eric. And then I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for rolling with Spots, sticking with Spots, tuning in, figuring out what's going on, the likes, the comments, the shares. I can't wait to see some of you all in person at our events. And then some of you all are going to watch this later on. I still want to say thank you for coming back and watching things later on and then amplifying it and sharing it. The things that you heard here today, I trust that it will guide you in your conversations. I trust that you feel more informed about what it's like in operating in the diaspora, what it's like serving your country both locally and internationally, and what it's like to really build something and make something and watch it grow. So with that, we're going to sign off. See you tomorrow once again, or Thursday, and next time whether online or in person. Thank you so much and have a great evening. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for being here and for joining us.
Cool. Boom.
Sabi girl no dey too like talk. Animals dey in human form. Body man nobody like work, but you must hustle if you want job. You no finish they won't fight us. If them they run them no fit catch us. I know they form say I too righteous.